We purchased HBO for the whole town.
I'm sorry, you spent government money on a TV subscription?
It's not TV.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're taking a look at how HBO, the king of television, has kept and still keeps us glued to our screens.
I guess you could say it's not TV, it's good. He likes it.
Appointment TV and the weekly model. Asking the question of how HBO is keeping all of us watching TV together leads us to one major answer: appointment TV. Appointment TV refers to the kind of textbook programming you're familiar with, whereby episodes of a show are released on a specific day at a specific time. For HBO, Sunday nights pretty much belonged to the network.
Okay, and you need to know we do this on Sundays specifically because this is our football.
That's like your church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like our church.
Now it's my church, too.
Series like The Sopranos, Oz, 6 Feet Under, Sex and the City, and more often dropped on Sunday nights, which helped make that point in the week something to look forward to. This is a model HBO has continued to stick with today, which is in contrast with the binge-watching model adopted by other streaming services, where all or a number of episodes are released at once.
They did it with White Lotus, they did it with Mayor of Easttown, they've done it now with Succession and others, which is that they're not going to adopt the Netflix model. You can't just go home and binge their shows.
No matter how impatient we get, let's face it, we all enjoy the build-up of a weekly schedule. What often happens if an entire season gets released at once is that the buzz fades within a few days. Seeing episodes weekly, on the other hand, draws things out and gives audiences more time to theorize, analyze, and discuss a show. In a way, it helps keep programs alive, and that relevance in turn keeps people talking.
You sort of want a third of the audience to be a little ahead of the surprise, a third of them to get it right in the moment you intended them to get it, and a third of them need to have their spouse explain it to them on the way home. That's a good twist.
Breaking the mold. It wouldn't be HBO if they didn't take some big swings in order to establish themselves. While traditional networks often shied away from explicit language and imagery, HBO did not. In fact, they embraced it, making shows that went where others wouldn't.
This feels a little bit like what Vampire Bar would look like if it were a ride at Disney World.
Well, don't get too comfortable.
Characters swore, did outrageous things, got violent, racy, and pretty much left no stone unturned. Simply put, this ain't your grandma's TV. Okay, well, technically HBO's been around since the 70s, so maybe it is actually, but you know what we mean.
What should we call that? Foreplay? Oh dear.
It was radical, different, and edgy. All of the right ingredients to create something worthy of our attention. Still, shock value alone can only take you so far. Style is nothing without substance, after all. They needed the right creative minds on board.
It's time for Don Quixote.
You think I'm him?
No, I think I'm him. You're his horse.
You rode a donkey.
Well, I can't help you there.
Though they couldn't offer deals as lucrative as their traditional network competitors, they promised something even more rare in the entertainment industry: creative freedom. Writers were able to go full force on their crazy ideas without fear of their work being blue-penciled.
I don't want to freak you out, but I think that I may be the voice of my generation. Or at least a voice of a generation.
Comedians like Gary Shandling and George Carlin were given a platform to riff on whatever they wanted and to do it completely uncensored. The rules were out the window, and it was go big or go home.
That's a proud organization, and we always have quite a turnout when I'm in town.
Pioneering the prestige format and ushering in the golden age. It was only a matter of time until HBO soon had multiple flagship shows under its belt. In a little bit, we'll talk more about the impact these shows had on us. But for now, let's talk about what they did for TV.
Do you have any idea what the demands of that are?
No, none at all. I only have a top 10 show.
For a long time, television wasn't actually seen as that big of a deal. It was considered small and even inferior to film and theater. If that was a viewpoint, though, then HBO practically made it their mission to do away with the idea. The tremendous levels of quality in their shows was proof of what TV could really be, and it'd change everything.
Forget Hollywood screenplays, forget those distractions. Huh? What do you think I have in that office? We got work to do.
HBO's programming tends to be considered part of a prestige format. It's essentially TV dialed up to the highest level. Everything from the production to the writing to the acting is carefully crafted.
I believe that stories helped us to ennoble ourselves, to fix what was broken in us, and to help us become the people we dreamed of being.
Prestige TV tends to put much more emphasis on drama and exploring serious themes with depth and nuance. Typically with this format, these shows focus on a serialized method of storytelling. Every episode is integral to the other and builds out one large narrative.
Do you understand what I'm saying, or shall I speak more slowly?
No. Making use of strategic surprise is obvious.
The emphasis on mature stories also means characters who are as complex as they are entertaining, an advantage that is sure to draw in high-caliber actors. As a result, we've seen more movie stars crossing over into Prestige TV now than ever before.
Excuse me? Who are you?
Really? First words out of his mouth?
It's obviously inaccurate to act like HBO outright created the Prestige format, but they absolutely put it on the map. It became so renowned, in fact, that it kicked off an era of television where so much of it was considered must-watch content.
Who knew watching an alien give birth could be so comforting?
Are you kidding me? It's always the weird stuff that's the best.
With that said, there are some drawbacks to Prestige TV. By making shows as cinematic as possible, common complaints are that these shows feel more like 10 to 13-hour-long movies rather than episodes. Meanwhile, production costs and wait times between seasons have risen majorly. This problem isn't exclusive to HBO, though. If you ever binge Stranger Things, you'll see the kids go from looking 10 to 25 very quickly. Despite these fair criticisms, however, the overwhelming majority of viewers tend to agree that the impressive quality of these kinds of shows far outweigh the minor disadvantages.
There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. Nothing can stop it. No enemy can defeat it.
Shaping culture. Speaking of quality, let's talk now about how these shows impact us. They're more than just entertainment. They move us and leave their lasting marks with the things they have to say.
I want you to really look at it and deal with it on your own. You know, it's like life.
It's kind of scary. No guide. Don't know where I'll end up.
On paper, it feels like a lot could go wrong when constructing a story about a bigoted, manipulative mobster who kills people, but the entire crew was so masterful at their craft that as it stands, Tony Soprano is one of TV's most beloved characters. What can we say? We all love a tortured soul.
I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my family. I think I lost a duck. That's what I'm full of dread about.
It's not just one really good show, though. Much of HBO's programming has played a role in shaping pop culture around us. While The Sopranos has been homaged, revered, and lovingly memed endlessly, The Wire is taught in universities across the US, including Harvard.
All the pieces matter. It ain't just, the street. It's the family life. It ain't just the family life, it's the government. It ain't just the government, it's the civil, it's the education. And with all these problems, once the TV gets turned off, what are you gonna do?
Game of Thrones had us all in a collective chokehold for years, even during its disastrous final season. Succession did the impossible and made us care for a bunch of rich pieces of work. And The Last of Us is already one of the best video game adaptations out there. We can also rave about Watchmen or Barry or Sex and the City, but the point is, HBO has us hooked.
Don't laugh at me, but maybe we could be each other's soulmates.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Sustaining a legacy. We've spent this entire video essay explaining how HBO has kept us watching in numerous ways. However, another important issue we haven't addressed yet is why they need to keep us watching probably now more than ever before.
I'm gonna get this stunt if it kills me and everyone involved in this production. Dan, I've got health and safety for you. Welcome! Thank you, health and safety. Onwards! With caution!
Despite being kind of the king of prestige TV for so long, there's been others gunning for that crown. Ever since the rise of streaming, other competitors have begun to seriously pick up their slack.
Ball! Ball! Give me the ball! I want the ball! Give me the ball! I would like the ball, please! Make it a performance. I want you winning an Oscar at the ESPYs next year.
We're not just talking about HBO having beef with Netflix anymore. Now there's competitors like Prime Video, Peacock, Disney+, Paramount+, Apple TV+, and probably a few other pluses we're missing. We also can't ignore how channels like FX have catapulted themselves to the top with Emmy win after Emmy win.
Shogun has received 25 nominations. Shogun won a record-breaking 14 Emmys at the Creative Arts Ceremony, winning another 4 tonight. The show holds this year's top spot with the most Emmy nominations.
All this to say, HBO has had to adapt. When HBO Max launched as their line of defense in the streaming wars, it was a little rocky in the beginning. Attaching massive quantities of previously unrelated IPs with the HBO banner had prompted fears of brand dilution.
Sort of giving us a less intense version, I think, might be like the company line from within.
Gosh, it's just wild to think about.
It might sound like unnecessary doom and gloom, but you've got to admit that HBO's 90 Day Fiancé sounds odd, to say the least. So Warner Brothers officially changed the streaming service to just Max. It was just one step in their strategic moves to adapt and keep up their staying power.
I'm not saying I would make a better CEO. That's unsaid.
It's not unsaid when you say it.
No, I'm not saying it, so in fact it is unsaid.
All obstacles aside, it's pretty hard to think that HBO's legacy could just be done away with. Putting it plainly, it's going to take a lot more to keep them down.
You're a pack of hounds, sated and honed for the hunt.
They dedicated decades to making amazing TV that captivated audiences and cultivated important conversations. HBO may have more real competition now than ever before, but in a way, the rivals owe some of their success to them.
The old have been in charge since before the revolution. They ruled justly until the new people invaded.
It's not quite as simple as that.
Yes, it is.
All of these competitors are walking down a road that this network first paved. It's incredible that, all these years later, even with the overwhelming rise of streaming and binge watching, HBO has managed to keep that Sunday night feeling alive.
Is that a problem?
No.
Well, you ain't seen nothing yet.
What's your favorite HBO TV show? Share the one that's keeping you watching TV in the comments below.
The fact is, you've won.
It can be a mistake to celebrate too soon.
Oh, my dear. American society has been reinvented tonight, and you are at the very heart of it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.